Hey guys, welcome to Boys and Ghouls Film Review Podcast, where we review and critique fantasy, horror and sci-fi movies and TV shows and books. In other words, a non-troll zone. So all the trolls out there, I advise please leave the room. My name is Sarah Stephenson and I'm your main host. With me now is my co-host Michael Stephenson.
Hello.
And joining us today is Jason Wingate, William Fletcher,
Hello.
Timothy Clark. So hello guys.
You know, you're actually supposed to say hello. They can't actually see you doing any hand gestures, Tim.
Not enough.
I
knew
that. Say hello.
As we discussed, feature film Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker in our first film review. So take it away, Sarah. Okay, so we'll start off, we'll break the surface by us talking about how did the heck did Palpatine come back to life?
Well, it was actually explained, I think, in episode 3,
Yeah.
that the power of the Sith has the ability to bring, people back to life. So I think that's how Palpatine came back. Like, he used, somehow the Force brought him back to life. And I noticed that he also had a machine, like he was connected to some kind of machine.
I think that machine he had was actually a life support machine, just like you have at the hospitals we have now.
Yeah, exactly.
You keep the fluids up.
To keep your phone
kind of like a Darth Vader kind of thing, where you need that machine to keep him alive. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. My opinion on it, I really have no idea of how Palpatine came back. I'm not extremely into, the lore of Star Wars and the origin of Palpatine. I do know that Palpatine is the most evil being in the Star Wars universe. I do know that Darth Vader killed him at the end of the Return of the Jedi. So I'm not too sure of how they're going to explain realistically how Palpatine is going to come back in the story. But I enjoyed seeing him once again, and he looked very creepy and very intimidating.
Yes.
And
Especially-
Certainly needs a makeover.
Especially with those zombified eyes.
Yes, that was
So he
gory.
wasn't 100% alive, obviously. He was
he was on
he,
life support.
He was regenerated, but
That's
he
not very
wasn't.
good.
He was there in spirit, but he wasn't there in, like, his body wasn't fully functional. If that makes sense.
That's
Yeah.
what I want the energy
Tim, what
from the other
are your
people,
thoughts
yeah.
on this? Why Palpatine came back to life?
Well, to be honest, I didn't really care as much, but what I really cared about was that my favourite Star Wars villain came back to life, because Palpatine is my favourite Star Wars villain of all time.
The thing about
Preach.
Palpatine, though, is that I find him to be pretty underdeveloped as a character. He's just kind of just the person who pulls the strings and the person who
practically the
manipulates-
puppet master for the
I
whole
mean,
Star Wars.
we don't know his backstory. We just think he's evil. He's evil. He's the evil person that makes that turns Darth Vader to the dark side. Darth Vader is the one that has a story that we understand.
Yeah, and
One of the good things about Disney buying Star Wars is that they're bringing out all these spin-off stories now.
Yeah, really
So
good,
maybe there'll be a spin-off story to explain
Palpatine,
that.
his little boy going to the
Especially,
grade school and
maybe
stuff,
there'll be a
and-
spin-off, hint Disney. Maybe there should be a spin-off that will explain exactly how Palpatine came back to life again.
Yeah.
I have different thoughts on that, but
Okay.
They did have the Clone Wars, so cloning's probably
yeah, I agree with Michael here that he was most likely cloned, or that maybe he's been cloned, like he had a clone in Palpatine, and that clone may have been killed in Return of the Jedi, and that's probably one of the reasons why this Palpatine looks like he's decaying in like he's.
Right.
He might be the original one.
He could have been the original one, and the one he sent off to be present to in Return of the Jedi may have been just a clone who was trying to.
Cannon fodder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That is an interesting theory
Actually,
because
I
Attack of the
actually-
Clones did actually take place before.
I actually never
Before
understood
Return
that
of the
term, cannon fodder. I never completely understood what that meant.
Cannon fodder.
Yeah.
Okay. If you go to war, all the generals stand at the back and they put all the private stuff up the front lines to get shot.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, do you get the Neville?
Sort of.
Yeah.
Cannon
Yeah,
fodder.
okay.
Yeah, they're expendable.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so he technically was cloned and probably presented as the Emperor, and no one knew about this.
Okay, sure, all right.
Or maybe not even Darth Vader knew about it either.
Actually,
So
one thing always bugged me that he always wears the same robe.
Yes.
Gee,
does.
stink after so many years, wouldn't it?
It would.
Even
dude.
in Revenge of the Sith, he wore the same robe.
You know. Oh.
Yeah, that was-
And I
must
didn't see any
smell.
dry cleaners around or anything, you know.
I'm sure he has more than one of the same robe though.
Yeah, I think so.
That's his
And look
uniform.
at Darth Vader. He'd be flying around his little X-Wing fighter or whatever, there for weeks on end there, still in his black gear and his helmet and stuff. He should smell like rotten socks by the
Yeah.
time they got out of the X-Wing fighter.
Ew.
You know?
Yeah, I never really considered the smells of Star Wars.
Yeah.
But I would consider it's a very smelly universe.
Yes.
I bet.
okay,
They all wear the same clothes. So.
okay. Let's move on from Palpatine and move on to any other subjects about the film we may either like or dislike about it. So let's discuss. Jason, do you have any thoughts on what we should discuss next about the film?
Yeah, the Mike,
Princess Leia.
Yeah.
there were many
Buns.
things I found like there were a lot of plot holes in the film in terms of certain characters. I don't want to give too much spoilers away,
Yeah.
but
Still too new.
yeah, it's still too new, so we don't want to give too much away. But there are moments in the film that happen to one of our more recognizable, like classic characters, and yeah, for me, it just opened up this big question: what happened to her?
I'll
You
say
know.
something.
Yeah.
I don't consider this movie to be a disappointment in any stretch of the imagination. I found it to be very satisfying, but as a finale to one of the one of the most prolific film franchises in history, I felt it could have been so much more, so
And
much
better.
bigger.
Yeah, I
It
think
could have
so
been
too.
much more epic, much more emotional, and much
Yeah.
more electrifying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would have
Yeah,
loved
more
it if
dynamic
it.
too.
Yeah.
If not casting too much too much to the past, but
Yeah.
I did think that when they did the Return of the Jedi, I felt like in that one it was like everything was resolved. Everyone who was mostly evil was forgiven, and the
And the Ewoks
past
had a
was
nice party and everything else.
and the
Yeah.
past was put behind everyone,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
we were able to move forward.
Hey, that's another
Yeah.
thing. You know, there's a couple of Ewoks in this movie right at the end.
Yes.
Yeah,
Why?
there is.
Yeah, weird.
Why?
Because it was set in the Endor system.
That's
But the point
confusing.
is,
It took
no
place in
one
the
knew
Endor
where
system.
this place was, and they had the special GPS.
No.
sort of
It
machine
was
to
actually
get
mentioned in the film. They did like, was it 3PO who picked up on that? I think one of the characters picked up on
Yeah.
that was in the Endor system. So they
Okay.
did explain it in the film. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Spoil it.
Okay.
They just wanted to
I'll
bring
take
the
your word
Ewoks
for that
back.
one,
They
yeah.
just wanted to, you know,
I don't know.
nod that to the fans. You know.
Yeah, I know
Yes.
it was a nod, but it didn't have very much of a notable, very good big impact there,
Yeah.
except for the fact that it makes us think, oh, I recognize them. They're from Return of the Jedi.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
got these mate. was
No,
still there, yeah,
Will
yeah.
does actually make a very good point there because I remember seeing something on YouTube about when Disney took over. Like they were interviewing George Lucas about his turnover to Disney, and I remember George explaining that Disney had planned to make this film for the fans, whereas George just wanted to make a story.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
very that's a
Well,
very
that-
good
and
depth.
Yeah.
That probably rings true because he did write the first book, story, whatever, and that covered the first 6 movies.
Yes.
He had an idea in here how it was going to go, and
Yeah.
Disney said, "I'm going to make some money out of it."
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's what they've been doing,
So, yeah.
and that's what
Yeah.
really makes me a little.
What, George or JJ?
George.
Okay,
George.
George. Yeah.
Yeah.
George had the story in his head, and then J.J.
Yeah.
Abrams just wrote a film script. To
No,
make
no,
it.
it was Disney, not JJ. JJ just directed it. It was
Yeah,
Disney. that took
JJ
it.
was the
Yeah.
director.
He wrote the screenplay for it as well.
Yeah, he means the Force
He wrote-
Awakens and the last.
Yeah,
and
true.
And the rise of the
Yeah, he wrote
Skywalker.
screenplays for it and everything.
The thing about
Yeah.
these 3 movies, especially The Last Jedi, is that they're not really fan service films. They I've seen a lot of YouTube videos that explain that The Last Jedi was not what the film that Star Wars fans wanted, but the ones that they needed. It was a say, a progression of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that Star Wars 5. What was that one?
Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, I didn't like that one. That was a bit lukewarm.
Okay.
Yeah.
The first one, New Hope, whatever you call it, to Luke Skywalker, and the last one were good, but the one in the middle was a transition sort of movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like bringing that into the next movie.
That's kind of funny that you mentioned that, because The Empire Strikes Back is commonly referred to as the greatest
Sci-fi film.
well, one of the greatest sci-fi films, and the best Star Wars film.
I thought that
Oh, yeah.
I was kind of saying this on Facebook one time, how the bit where Darth Vader says, "Luke, I am your father."
Yes.
That one is my favorite moment in that movie, and I thought, oh wow, that is such a great impact. No one could ever repeat sort of a moment like that.
Well, again, I don't want to give any spoilers away for this film, but the twist in this Rise of Skywalker, I have to say, top marks for me. I did not see it coming.
Actually, I did kind of suspect
Don't say
it.
too much.
Because
Yeah.
while
The movie.
everyone else
Yeah.
since The Force Awakens, everyone kept thinking that Rey may have been either Han or Leia's.
we're giving too much away,
child.
Sarah. We're giving too much
you're
away.
going too far.
But
Yeah.
I can't
That's
help but
You have to leave the room.
but I kept thinking maybe Rey may not belong to the Jedi way. She may belong to the other side, and we haven't never been thinking about
Okay,
that.
I think.
sort of thing.
Yeah,
I know.
I know you're the host, but I think we're giving.
Yes.
Okay. Let's move on to something less busy.
You're tempting fate there.
Okay.
Yeah, we are.
Okay, I think I'll move on to
I'll
something
edit it out.
a little bit more serious, as I've pointed out to you guys out in the hallway. How in this new Star Wars they kind of introduced some gay-related scenes that we should bring to the surface, considering that this is supposed to be a family sci-fi movie film that we should. So let's discuss that, guys.
Sure.
So, Jason, Tim, how do you guys feel about the whole gay side to the film?
Well, to be honest, I didn't actually pick up on it. Apparently it happened. There was a moment somewhere towards the end of the film.
When having a sort of race at the end.
Yeah. When they're all celebrating.
So there's a couple of females kissing each other and different things, and
Yeah.
then, see, the part that got me straight away is that the dark guy, what's his name?
Ben?
Finn, yeah, Finn.
Oh, Finn. Yeah.
Yeah, Finn. He went. He came to the party and he looked across the group to where Rose Tico was, that little Vietnamese girl, and they had a bit of an item in the earlier movies, and he ignored her and he went over to Poe and hugged him.
Right. Yeah.
He goes, hello.
Yeah.
And now the guy playing Poe, he's clearly heterosexual because he was hitting on Ray on the first movie, and in this movie here, he was hanging out for the spice smuggler lady, and they clearly had some sort of arrangement.
Yeah.
And so he wasn't gay. So why try to? They're trying to put innuendos in there, which probably shouldn't have been there.
Yeah, it was
Why?
very
Because they can.
confusing,
Yeah, I
and
know.
I couldn't help but wonder: is Poe straight, or is he
Or is he
not-
bi?
or is he bi?
Or a confused young man?
or something? It's just
Okay.
there was a lot of hints, or
Didn't he want to actually
gaps
write
in
something
the
into the
story.
story to make it gay? You said.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
the guy who's playing Poe, he's wanted to have his character and Finn's character to become a couple. So, it's a lot. It's up to debate to talk
It
about.
doesn't add or take away from the story, but it was needed. So
Has Disney actually have made any gay stories? Do you
I don't know. I haven't
well-
tracked them that way, but
If it's nothing, I'm not sure, but the Beauty and the Beast movie that came out with Emma
yeah,
Watson,
that
there
was
was a bit of a gay
There was.
teeny weeny side story in that.
There was.
And the dancing scene.
that little
Yeah.
dance routine, and
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there was a
my
bit,
hero. Yeah,
and
Yeah.
how Gaston and his little friend there, his little friend kept implying that has
strong
Yeah.
affection
Strong
for
feelings
it,
for
Yeah, that's coming back. There were a few controversies about that.
Yeah.
About that moment. I actually heard that Beauty and the Beast was banned
In some
in some countries
Yeah,
because
yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
Well, actually, this
Yeah.
movie here, that part we just talked about in Star Wars, right at the end of it, some countries actually cut that part out of the movie.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
mm.
God.
And that would have been awkward because that's right in the middle of the song.
And I, goodbye.
Yeah, kind of just cuts. It's like,
Yeah.
what happened here?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
must have been a good tune, but
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought we were talking about Star Wars.
Sorry.
No, that's my
But they
that was
did.
my bad.
They cut that. They
Doesn't
cut
bother
that out of the
me.
movie, or would refuse to show the movie. And this one here, they actually cut the second
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Another
it
thing.
should be. It should market it worldwide.
Yeah,
not
another
local.
thing I've noticed that I read in an interview about J.J. Abrams, and he says in the interview that he's not really good at writing endings. So that's
You're not
probably
bloody
one of the
wrong.
reasons why what we discussed, that the ending's leaving us with a lot of pent up,
Yes. Yeah.
questions.
Are we up for a sequel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh,
That's the thing. It should have felt more conclusive. Like how the Lord of the Rings ends. I mean, like the Return of the King has like.
Yeah.
I mean, like the last 45 minutes of the movie is just scene after scene after scene after scene of resolution and resolution and resolution and resolution.
yeah.
And this movie didn't really have that.
No, it just we beat up the bad guys and blew up some ships and had some party. That was about
Yeah.
it. That wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't full
Yeah.
closure. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and not to mention, this is a spoiler alert out there, guys. So forgive me. There was
Yeah.
a scene between one of the next stormtrooper and Lando Calrissian,
Yeah.
and he was talking about how she was going to find her family.
Oh, yeah.
And-
Yes.
So that
and-
could be a spin-off.
And is it
Possible
just me,
spin-off of-
but
yeah.
my imagination or something that didn't Lando feel like he was coming onto her, and he looked like he was trying to say that maybe he was her father?
Nah.
Because I don't know
Yeah.
much about Lando. I don't know his
that's
personal
really
life.
stretching it at Tad.
It's
Yeah.
stretching, but I feel like maybe, just maybe, he may have had a legitimate kid, and
No,
then
I
it
actually
got
do
taken.
agree with Sarah. I think there is a possibility that
I think
Lando
it's-
might be this girl's father. Yeah.
I mean, it's
There's a
stretching
lot
it
of
bit.
hints.
Well, he could
Yes.
use the dirty old man hit on a young bird.
So now,
Yeah.
Hey, why
from,
not?
from
Do
this
you watch
point
Melody?
on, we're not going to have Ray and Finn return in any future Star Wars films.
I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
I'm sure,
I'm sure
like
that
we saw
See,
Luke
that-
and Leia appear,
Yeah, yeah.
return in these
Yeah,
ones.
she
Yeah.
didn't go to nunnery, so
Yeah,
there's a good chance she's
that-
going to be showing
yeah.
it. If they make
Yeah.
another
Yeah.
movie, I think she'll.
Yeah, the other
Yeah.
bit I
Appear
didn't like
somewhere,
about the
yeah.
ending is the fact that we don't see at the end. I won't say the details, explain how it happened, but Kylo Ren, he does die, and
Yeah.
he gets forgiven, redeemed,
Redeemed.
Yeah.
and we don't see him as a Force ghost at the end.
That's
Or we don't even
interesting.
see Han
Yes.
Solo as a Force ghost.
Yes.
Are they in sort of a Force
Well,
held
Han-
territory?
Wait a minute,
Han,
wait a
Han
minute.
isn't really a Jedi though.
No,
that
I
only
know.
works for
No.
that only works for Jedi.
Just
Well,
doesn't make
you know,
sense.
You're
Yeah.
right. Jason's right. Han wasn't the Jedi, but Kylo Ren, didn't he fade out?
Yeah,
Fade
fade
to
out.
nothing.
Just
Yeah.
like
He
Yeah,
did
he
join
did,
the Force,
he
but
did.
we didn't have the old the scene of the family portrait.
Well, maybe
No.
maybe his spirit just isn't strong enough yet. Let's keep it at that.
yeah.
Or
Yeah.
maybe his spirit hasn't left Ray completely.
Maybe.
He's given. I mean, I think that when
That's it. Maybe. Yeah, it could be.
he may have
Yeah.
transferred what was left of his
Into her.
part to him, may have into her to make her live.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not too much more information.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
I don't
not.
want to say anything about this particular aspect, but yeah.
But there were some very interesting scenes there, and it's a lot. Well, when you think about it, that scene will always be with me trying
I
to.
think
work
the
it
thing
out.
about Star Wars is that even though the villains have been redeemed, they can't be restored to their former selves.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That could be it. Well,
Yeah. Or they could. Who knows? Who knows?
yeah,
Yeah.
I would have loved it if somehow Ben didn't die. That somehow his grandfather came along and resurrected him, and he was able to restart from scratch.
Yeah.
But his grandfather is dead though, so how is that possible?
I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the Force.
Yeah.
Things could happen.
Well, Luke keeps popping up
I mean-
in strangest places,
He
doesn't
does, yeah.
I mean, if
Walks out of the
if
fire.
Yeah.
Hey, time for another way, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's a force ghost in that
Yeah.
in that scene.
I mean,
if Lazarus can come back from the
Yeah.
grave,
Yeah.
no doubt Ben could
Yeah.
come back from the
I
grave.
mean, it is 100% certain that there is an afterlife in the Star Wars universe. So,
Yes.
yeah, but I do.
Yeah, well, I
feel
did hear something on YouTube. I think it was on YouTube that there is actually a life force and a death force. So when you're alive, like there's two different kinds of forces. There's one that you're connected with when you're alive, and there's one that you're connected with when you're dead. So every time you see a Force ghost,
Yeah.
so like Yoda or Luke or whoever appears as a ghost, they're actually using the Death Force.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call
Yeah.
dead. I would call passed on
Passed on.
because they're blue. Death
Yeah.
is like black and
Yeah.
red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still wouldn't mind
And
if
decrepit and
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
for when we see Han as his Force as a ghost.
Well,
Yes.
He's
That-
got them in your mind.
That he
said.
would look like a blue silhouette
No, but
of the ghost.
He wasn't. He was a
said
memory
Kylo-
though. He wasn't really a
yeah.
ghost. He was Ben's memory.
Yeah, he said. Yeah,
So
you
it
can't
was
clear
kind
memory.
of it was kind of those movie moments where only the character, the audience can only that.
Only the character can see it.
Yes, only the character can see it. We as the audience can see him, but only the character can see him. If anyone else was around, they wouldn't have been able to
He's
see
talking to
him.
himself again. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but I feel like there was a lot of mixed ideas thrown in there, and I can't work out which one to believe. Mostly, there's like a lot of people out there saying, Han, is he with Leia and Luke now, or is he in a hellish Force purgatory at the moment because
He's a good guy.
because he's had been doing a bit of smuggling, stealing
When is
to
a
survive
child.
when he was
Yeah.
much younger, and we're left. And Kylo Ren, we didn't see him at the end, and there's like a lot of questions up here in my
Yeah,
head.
yeah.
So it makes me think: is this? It seems like very bit of an unfair ending that he's not there to show that he's still there.
Yeah, well, if you
for Rey.
if you think back to Return of the Jedi, you did actually see Anakin's ghost
He did.
with
yeah.
he did, he
Yoda
did.
and who was the other fella? Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone was there,
Yeah,
yeah.
but that was after Revenge of the Sith was released.
Yes.
Hayden Christensen.
But
Yeah.
I'm talking about like even in the original Star Wars
Yeah.
movies, like when he was before he was replaced with Christian Hayden.
yeah.
Yeah. There was the other actor who played Darth Vader,
Yeah,
like the guy in the suit.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Who was he anyway?
Can't remember his name.
Well, James Earl Jones did the voice. That's
Yeah.
about all
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
Yeah, the guy in the black suit.
Yeah.
That was it. Yeah.
Maybe it was
Yeah.
a prosthetic.
The guy had the asthma condition.
Yeah. And, the thing about when they took his mask off, it looked like he had a harmonica attached to his mouth, like he
Yeah.
was playing a harmonica. Yeah.
Oh, right. I think that was his little breathing.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
remember.
well,
Yeah.
And there's a microphone.
yeah.
in there.
The one thing
Yeah.
I liked about Star Wars is that they didn't let using modern things to use for their film productions. I mean, I think I recall that they used an ice cream mixer in one of the scenes.
What's this?
An ice cream mixer. They used it in one of the deleted scenes. They just put it as a bit of a prop there amongst all the
Okay.
garbage
Oh,
there.
like a Starbucks coffee cup in a Game of Thrones and stuff. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Not
Yeah.
exactly like that. But that was what was implied. They just left it there, and left it to the audience not to notice it there.
Yeah, it's a funny little.
Yeah.
Not quite
Just
a
like-
product placement, but.
Yeah, well, they were on a cheap. They were on a cheap budget, or maybe I don't know what kind of
Actually,
budget
speaking
George
of
had.
funny budget. You know, leaving this movie, it was the first movie, which is New Hope, when they had that special thing to blow up the planet. They used a
Yeah.
control there to get.
Yeah.
That's actually a real piece of equipment for editing movies.
Okay.
Oh wow.
It's
Yeah.
a video editing
Yeah.
machine. They
Improvised,
use that.
yeah.
Oh,
prop.
right,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, when that thing there, the big handle thing, like
Yeah.
an airplane sort of control.
Yeah.
It's actually a video editing piece of equipment.
Yeah.
You go, they use what they got.
Yeah, another thing I should bring up that there's been talk about online that there was another script idea that was going to be used as the new Star Wars movie. I think it was
Okay.
by
What? Where? Point. I can't read your handwriting. Where? You
This
can't
guy.
read either.
Colin Trevor.
Colin Trevor
right.
was going to write the original script idea for
Oh, the original director for this.
Yeah,
movie,
he was
The
gonna be-
Rise of Skywalker.
That's
Yeah,
a
I was
good-
actually going to bring that up. I think one of the main reasons why the ending was so rushed was because they had to redo the scripts in a very short time.
So that's why there was 3 script writers
Yeah.
creating it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I
Yeah.
think there's about 3 or 4 on the internet. There's 3 or 4. It's okay, yeah.
Yeah,
That could
that's why it
explain
feels
it, yeah,
rushed because
yeah.
it was actually rushed. This Colin guy apparently got sacked, and they replaced him with J.J.
Abrams.
Abrams.
Abrams. Yeah, thank
It
you,
did
J.J.
feel rushed.
Yeah.
The thing about the first 2 movies is that they were paced a lot more evenly. The first half of this movie goes pretty fast. There's a lot of things that happen. So this happens,
Yeah.
this happens, this happens.
Right, so what we do next?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pad that a bit.
And
Yeah.
what was the budget of this movie? Was it
Didn't
lower
catch the
than
budget.
I don't know, but
Yeah.
it was quite a good price tag on it. But in the first couple of weeks, it's tripled that in box
Yeah.
office. You know?
Yeah,
I think it's money well spent.
Yeah.
I don't think Buena Vista is going to be crying too much.
Yeah.
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 Well, we are digressing a bit from the actual script and the
Yeah,
overall storyline, and
I know.
pretty much what do we think of the movie as a whole? Though?
So, how do you guys feel
Yeah.
about the movie altogether?
As a product.
satisfying?
Yeah. I mean,
apart from the ending a bit lame.
Yeah.
Apart from that.
I enjoyed it. There is a couple of moments, as I mentioned, that are a bit confusing and has opened up a couple of unanswered questions. But I don't want to give too much away for our audience.
Somebody else might like it.
Yeah, there might be a few people out there who may want to cease and desist.
Yeah. So I'll let you guys watch the film for yourself and see the ending and see for yourself what I'm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
can see why we're
Yeah.
having mixed opinions
I
about
mean,
this.
Yes.
I've seen finales for certain films and series that were a lot more emotional and a lot more
Yeah.
charged and a
Yeah,
lot
that's
more
what you want.
and have a
Yeah.
longer impact on you than this
Yeah.
film did.
Yeah.
I mean,
But-
when I leave this film, I didn't jump for joy or like
Yeah.
made a review and
Mm.
shouted at like the camera
Yeah.
saying this movie was incredible.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, when I look back, a
You
lot
just
of
woke up and left, did you?
yeah, there are. I mean, there were a few moments in some movies I watched in the past, and I often thought the ending was the most interesting, the most benefiting. That's one of the reasons
Yeah.
why I've been very disappointed lately.
Yeah. Well, as a screenwriter myself, there was a moment in the film where one of the main characters, I won't say who, but one of the main characters, you're supposed to think that he was, that he got killed, and I knew straight away. I'm like, yeah, no, he's not dead. It wasn't dramatic enough, so he can't be
It
dead.
wasn't in
And
the script.
hey,
It wasn't in the script.
it wasn't in the script. That's right. Yeah. So yeah, but it turns out that I was.
me too. But
Yeah.
they made the excuse. Oh, there must have been.
Yeah.
A reason. Yeah, I won't say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it turns out that the character I'm talking about does come back.
Yeah, and they saved him. Isn't it lovely? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
But yeah,
See
as a
there,
writer, I
mate.
was like, I so knew that was coming.
Yeah.
But the other two deaths that were supposed to happen,
Yeah.
they weren't dramatic enough.
Yeah.
I've even had people say they weren't dramatic enough.
Like when in a previous movie when Luke just disappeared in the Force, that was a bit lame.
Yeah.
He,
In the second film, yeah.
he sat there on
That
a
was
rock
a
and
little
just-
bit too quick for me as well. I was like,
he used
what
all
happened
his-
there?
He used all his energy doing an astral projection of himself to do the battle, and then he just died.
The thing about
Oh,
that,
hello.
I think the way they should have done it is not just have him sit on like a rock, but maybe have him walk down the island and maybe
And just disappear or something.
and
or
maybe
it fade out or
and maybe
something.
walk through those Jedi. Through that Jedi library again, maybe just put his hand on like the book and just
And then dissolve.
well,
Yeah, just
but
do it.
then again, if he
Yeah.
did do that, he would have noticed the books would have been stolen.
Yeah, Ray stole it.
True.
that's right, yeah.
True. Yes.
They clipped the maniac as well, hi day.
Another idea that could have made that sequence more better. I have actually been following the Doctor Who series, the latest one recently, and I noticed whenever Doctor Who,
Snuffs it.
Doctor Who, starts
Dying.
starts dying. And getting ready to regenerate, he was like, you can tell that he's about to go because he's getting weak. He's getting.
I'm going to turn into a girl now, or I'm going to turn
Yeah.
a black
I'm
guy
going to turn into a
Chinese,
gherkin now.
or-
What I'm saying is he has that emotion. Like he knows he's about to go. He knows he's whatever, and
life is
he's
suspense.
holding his chest because obviously he's in.
I did that
Yeah,
in
he's
the
in-
morning when getting out of
He's
bed.
in pain.
Yeah, but when he does disappear, he doesn't look like he's extremely worn out or like panting. He's just kind of just sitting there and just realizes, this is the time,
Yeah,
and he just departs.
yeah.
A bit like Rutger Hauer.
But it's emotional
Yeah, it
because
is.
you know what's coming.
Yeah,
It's emotional. That's I reckon if they've done Luke Skywalker's death or whoever like
Yeah.
that,
Like
I would like it
Yeah.
a little bit
Yeah.
of a more impact as well myself.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we haven't spoken to Tim.
Yeah,
Timothy,
Tim, sorry.
come on,
All
jump
right, Tim,
in.
what is your thoughts about this whole movie?
Look, I really liked it overall. I really do want to bring up the ending of the film, as mentioned earlier. I really, really, really wanted to be joyful once the film finished. In saying that, before coming to doing this podcast with all of you, I had to watch the film twice so that I
did too,
didn't
Timothy.
forget.
Yeah.
who it-
Yeah, I only watched
all
it
did.
once.
I watched it last night.
Oh, that's the perfect timing.
I got Alzheimer's. No.
Yeah, look, to be honest, the second time was better than the first.
Yeah.
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 Second time's always better than the first
Yeah.
in general.
You pick up
anyway.
all the other
'cause
bits
yeah.
and
I was
pieces
going
out
to
the
say
first time
you,
around.
you tend to pick up a lot more when you see it
Yeah,
the second
exactly
time.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
I'm just surprised I didn't pick up the gay themes.
You were looking for it.
Well, you didn't
I,
Yeah,
have
it's
to.
I
true.
didn't notice it until I read some on the internet, and then when I had
Yeah.
a look at it,
Well,
Yeah.
I saw that. All the innuendos sort of go, boop, boop, boop.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so.
If they were just hugging, I
have
could
to.
probably then
Yeah,
say
the
put it
hugging's
down as
fine.
Yeah.
I got
Nothing.
no problem with guys hugging and females hugging.
Yeah.
But when they try to push it too far, and it's not adding to the storyline. It's
Yeah.
why put it there.
Well, I will
It's-
say you don't
yeah.
have to be gay to hug another guy.
Yeah,
or hug
exactly
another
right.
Exactly, yeah.
I've hugged guys before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
It
we're
feels
happy.
great.
And
Like
I've hugged girls
football
before.
players do it all the time.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
gotta go. Oh,
Yeah.
let's get a room.
yeah.
Don't go that far.
Well,
Ed.
you know, but they're always doing it.
Yeah.
It's a male thing. It's a male bonding
It
thing.
is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I've got no
Bizarre.
problem with
Yeah.
that. But
They call it bromance.
No,
Yeah.
I agree.
That's true. They call it bromance.
Yeah.
well, yeah. But yeah, so yeah, whatever. But I didn't even notice it honestly when I first watched it. First, didn't worry me
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
Well,
But,
honestly,
yeah, if-
who cares?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
the point
exactly.
is, like, but someone raised it on the internet and stuff. But if it's an issue, close your eyes for 2 or 3 minutes. You know, at the end,
I thought the film could have a few more shocking moments. I don't know.
yeah, there
Yeah.
wasn't any real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Real
Jump
moment.
scare- jump
yeah,
scares?
jump scares. Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
everyone's seen The Force Awakens by now.
Oh, here we go.
So
Done
yeah,
that.
I
Been
will
there, yeah.
address
Yeah.
the Kylo Ren stabbing Ben scene. I mean,
Yes.
yeah, 'cause
That got me.
Yeah.
Oh, that was cool.
That got me. Yeah.
But
That was a
the
stab.
big twist, which I won't reveal on this podcast, that got me.
Yeah.
That was a
Yeah.
shock.
Yeah.
I certainly thought it was kind
Yeah.
of moving when Ray healed him in a nice way. I thought it was kind of romantic.
Spoiler alert.
Sorry.
You couldn't help yourself.
I love the budding romance between Ray
Oh.
and Ben. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't-
And now for the rest of the story, folks.
hey, it's not the rest of the story. Technically, I love
That's
it.
pretty much the whole story revealed now.
Although I did read
Yeah.
somewhere that
The major
I'll
stab.
edit her out.
I read somewhere that J.J. Abrams he didn't want to write too much about. He was going to write put in a deleted scene into this film that with Ben Solo in it, but for some reason he cut it out because he wanted more to focus on Rey's journey
Yes.
more than it did on Kylo Ren's part.
I did see that, yeah.
I mean, I thought that was a bit. I mean, as much as I love Rey, but I think that her journey is with Kylo Ren. When you think about it,
I want to learn more about Kylo Ren's backstory.
me too.
I
Yeah.
hope they make, because he seemed like
Spin off. I feel a spin off.
such a really innocent young kid, and then
I
something
went to
just
shoot
happened.
back
yeah.
on one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was. Ever
was a
ever
puppy.
since I seen him in Force Awakens, I kept thinking I can't see him as the bad guy. I can't even see him now because
Yeah.
even after all the damage he's done.
He was just
He's
very
just a
troubled.
naughty boy.
He was, yeah.
he's
He
troubled.
was just lost, like how Anakin got seduced to the dark side. He got seduced to the dark side, but
Well, his
difference
Palpatine was around
between-
for an awful long time, wasn't he?
yeah. But the difference between Ben and Anakin is that, Ben was just scared. You could see he was fighting it all along,
Yeah.
and he just couldn't fight it.
Yeah. Anakin got
Yeah.
sucked in.
Exactly.
He-
Yeah.
Oh, we'll save your mother. Yeah. Or something rather, or be
Yeah.
Save his wife, you
Wife,
dummy.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, why he's going to die or something. Yeah, I can't remember now. It's
Yeah.
been a long time since I saw the movie. Yeah, so
Yeah.
bring him back to life. So, and he implied, Palpatine implied that he knew how to do it.
Yeah.
He didn't. So, And once he turned, he said, well, I don't really know how to do it, but together we'll find a way.
Yeah.
So he sucked him in. It's already too far down the line to turn around.
Yeah, well,
I'll
was
give
very
a
brief.
very, very brief spoiler. There is a moment where Han Solo does come back and... Oh, we've already mentioned it.
Yeah,
anyway.
we mentioned it, but
Yeah.
you can mention again if you like.
Yeah,
Jason, if
I was
you
going to
have
say
need that.
there was, there was a very emotional moment in that
Yes.
sequence when Ben realized, he was starting to see the light was starting to come back to him, and he was starting to feel guilty for what he did to his father,
Yeah.
and he was about to apologize, and Han was like, "No, you don't have to apologize. I know."
Yeah.
That was a very
That
sad
scene
moment.
confused me because
I was
was that
like
in
that.
was that in Kylo's head? Or
Yeah,
did-
it
It was in
Yeah,
his
yeah.
head, yeah.
So
He actually said that.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
I like to think
it
he-
wasn't actually Han. It was just.
It was just his
Kylo-
memory, yeah.
He's going guilt trip time.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think deep down, it was his dad. I just don't know how to explain that sometimes when I think about that scene so much.
Yeah.
I mean, if they didn't do it as a glowing Star Wars ghost thing, I would say yes, that's definitely Han Solo come back from the grave. I mean, come back as a
But he
ghost.
actually said, I'm only in your head. I'm
Yeah.
just a memory.
yeah.
Yeah.
There is a question I do have about Han being Ben's father, though, and Leia being his mother. Notice how Han and Leia have sort of a brunette color,
Brown hair.
a brunette color,
Yeah.
but Kylo Ren has black hair.
I've noticed that. It's a
Yeah.
bit bizarre because considering Anakin had brown hair too, and same with his mum.
Yeah.
He could have just dyed it
Could
though.
have had it sprayed. It could have gone to
Yeah.
the Death Star hairspray salon.
Bit of salon, get touch up the grey,
I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah. That is quite possible. He could have dyed it.
Yeah, oh, well,
But I just found
actually,
that-
for a touch of realism, I would have dyed his
I
hair
may
to
mention
be more
this,
in
guys,
line
that-
with- but the black,
Yeah.
black on black looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
bear in mind,
Yeah.
when you think about this, I'm just thinking that my sister, her hair color changed when she was younger.
Many
so
times.
many
Right.
times.
Many
No,
times.
not like she dyed her hair. Like when she was young,
See.
it was
Blonde.
blonde, but then it suddenly changed into a
Darker color.
Darker colour.
darker color.
And then
Yeah,
when,
but
when she found hair dye, it just changed weekly.
But you see, both Leia and Han had the same color hair. So it's not possible even at an older age for it to turn black naturally.
I guess-
He
It
would have
sort
had
of
to have
goes
dyed
like,
it. You think?
You lose
Yeah.
pigment.
yeah, I guess you have a point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you lose pigment.
Yeah.
That's why
but
it
I
goes
guess
grey and white. The pigment goes.
Yeah.
But I guess
So,
when they
yeah.
were auditioning for Kylo Ren and Ben Solo, they probably thought Adam Drive was probably the best candidate for
He
the
did
job.
have that sort of
Yeah.
touch of brooding evil look about
Yeah.
him. And that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
You don't want to look like buddy Rowan Atkinson or something, right? Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
so
just wouldn't take him seriously.
No.
they were probably pretty much like Tim's acting more than
Yeah.
anyone else's acting.
Yeah.
No, but I think he handled the role,
Did
role
he?
pretty good.
Do you
Yeah.
think he referenced Han and Leia at all as well? Like how in the genes how we tend to look like our mother or our father.
I think it said something that he looked his nose and maybe some of his character features may have
Yeah.
been taken from his father. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I could be wrong. I mean, I've been hearing a lot of rumors and messages
Yeah.
here and there.
Well, Leia did have dark hair, though, didn't she?
Not really.
No.
Not really. It was always brown.
Dark brown, though. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it was always a dark brown, like Luke's was the dark brown.
And Anakin's
Yeah.
mum had dark hair.
That's true. Now that you think of it.
Yeah.
And
I'm a movie archivist.
Yes. yes.
yes. So
No, yeah, Padme had dark hair. That's right.
Yeah, she
And Padme
was.
is
Yeah,
Luke's mother.
Yeah.
No.
No,
Padme's
Luke and Leia's mother.
Yeah.
Dad.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but she had
Yeah.
just ordinary brown hair
so
too.
there is
so-
dark hair in the family, in the gene
Yeah.
pool.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was,
but
yeah.
they're all brown hair mostly. It's
Yeah.
not, there's
Yeah.
no blonde.
Padme had
or-
dark hair.
Padme did have dark hair. I do
Yeah.
remember that now. Yeah.
Is Kylo the only real Sith that has hair? Most of them are blonde. Most of them don't have any
True
hair.
that.
Who's this?
How
Yeah.
you,
Yeah, just saying how all the Siths don't have any hair.
Oh, they shave it off.
Palpatine has hair.
Yeah, I guess
When he
does.
was a
Oh,
when he was a
When
what do they call him?
senator.
A
A senator or whatever you
Senator
are.
or-
yeah, chancellor.
Yeah,
chancellor.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
it. Chancellor. Yeah.
Chancellor, yeah. And he
Yeah.
had hair.
The only
Yeah.
the only reason he got
Anakin-
to that ugly looking
Yeah.
face. It's because
He got
got
fried.
burnt.
His head got
Yeah.
fried.
Yeah, I mean, his hair and his features were burnt off in the third.
Hey, that's another
Yeah.
point. If he got cloned, wouldn't you think you want to be cloned in a better
True.
state of repair?
True.
I mean, he came back with all the wrinkles and all the bad hair
Dad,
and the scars.
Mike, I was just saying earlier that maybe the clone in Return of the Jedi, the guy in Return of the Jedi who is Emperor Palpatine might have been the clone, and
Oh,
he
that's
may have,
right. Yeah, well,
and the guy
maybe.
who was originally the Palpatine, he may have been in hiding, and he may have just
Yes.
took a brief holiday for the next
Oh,
3
he's in
Exactly.
Bali or
years.
something or other. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm on mistake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I'm
That is an
guessing.
interesting theory, though. I will take on that.
Well, I could be guessing. It mentioned cloning. He may have made a clone of himself, and that clone may
I
have
think
went
I'm a
off,
clone now.
and and he may have turned it into cannon fodder in Return of the Jedi. As,
Yes.
as
I
Mike
love that. I
mentioned.
love that expression,
Yeah.
cannon fodder.
Yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah.
My favourite
And-
saying. Yeah.
Because who in their right mind, like Emperor Palpatine, would go to an actual fight, war and get himself knocked off?
Well, if you notice in the opening sequence of the film, when it's Kylo Ren that's going through the ship in the beginning, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
When he goes for the ship or the planet or wherever it is that it takes place. Notice how there was a what was the other bad guy's name? Snoke.
Smoke.
Smoke.
Snoke.
Yeah.
Snoke.
Notice how there was a smoke in a like one of those big test tube.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
why.
oh,
That's what
yeah.
clicked in with the cloning bit into
Yeah,
my
I was
head.
wondering, I was wondering, is that supposed to be
So
an embryo?
Snoop could have been one of these clones.
It could have been.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably explains why he looks so.
But a second-rate one.
Yeah.
It's not a
Yeah.
very good one.
Yeah.
And he sent him off to look out for Ben Solo's interests, and
Yeah, exactly.
and at the same time, voiced in the voice for Darth Vader inside the helmet, like a evil Annabella type doll thing.
Yes. Yes.
Now you're on a different movie altogether.
Yep.
Well, that's what it keeps making me think that all the time he kept thinking that Vader's helmet was giving him brief messages here and there. It was actually
Yeah.
Emperor Palpatine giving him brief messages
Yeah.
in another
That's
part
all-
of
Well,
the galaxy.
he mentions that.
Yeah,
He
that
mentions
little
that.
voice in your head you've been hearing has always
Yeah.
been mine.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all the brief
So-
messages were all lies.
So
you
yeah.
think about it.
So Smook the whole time could have just been Palpatine.
Yeah, a puppet,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah, and he was
Yeah.
pretty much playing
He
a
had
game.
his hand up his shirt going,
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, so he was
hello,
pretty.
bro. What?
So he was pretty much playing a game with both Ben and Ray in the story when you think about it.
Yes.
Throughout the 3 movies.
Yeah.
All right.
He won't say too- We're going to get too much. We're going to be giving too many spoils away soon.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, we did say we reveal a few
We touched
spoilers
a couple
here.
of
Touch a
things,
few
but-
things that might have.
But
Then-
look at it this way: you have to watch it. Go to the theatre,
Yeah.
purchase a ticket, make Buena Vista really, really rich, and if not, buy the DVD in about a couple of weeks' time or a month's time when it comes out.
And
Do not download it.
And in a couple of weeks after that, you
Yes.
can throw it out.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, at least you paid for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least you pay for it. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I think we've tied up all the loose ends to this podcast.
Yep.
Does anyone else have anything to add? Jason, do you have anything to add about Corey?
Yes. Yes. Well, if you, in case you haven't heard, I'm currently in the process of my own project. I'm starting a kind of a creative youth group, and Tim and I have partnered together on this awesome project. So very soon we're going to start recording music and going to be we're starting our own YouTube channel.
Oh wow!
So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's great.
you can follow us on our YouTube channel and follow our progress, because everything we're going to be doing, we're going to be documenting and putting on this YouTube channel. So
Excellent.
Awesome.
yeah,
Look
So
forward
you
to it.
better-
Yeah, great.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
guys, be sure to keep an eye out for my progress on my editing of my latest project, The Attack of the Cat People. So
Which
it's,
should be
Course.
finished and coming up when, you think?
well,
Next
it'll,
2 or
it's
3 months?
2 and 3
2 or 3 months?
3 months maybe.
Probably, yeah.
yes.
I'm not promise. I know I keep promising they'll have it done by February, but it's a long step. It's
Post
long.
editing does take its time.
Post editing
Yes.
does take a long time to
Yes.
get through.
It does. It
Yeah.
does.
But I have a lot of good help on my side.
Awesome. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, Will, do you have anything to add to
I'm trying to think of something to say. I know that the Disney parks will be updated from this movie. There's going to be more stuff from this movie in those parks, and they're going to probably have to update Star Tours once again. So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's going to happen to Star Tours? Are they going to keep it, or are they going to...
There's going to be, with every movie that comes out, there's going to be so much content crammed into that 4-minute Star Tours film.
Yeah.
It's going to...
Yeah. Yeah, we're talking about the simulator that was there before Star Wars Land.
Yeah.
Opened up.
No, you're losing
It's been there since the 80s. It's
Yes.
actually, if it wasn't for Star Tours being at Disneyland,
Yeah.
Disney would have bought Star Wars.
Yeah, so
Put it that way.
thanks, Star Tours, yeah.
Yeah. So, we all agreed we want you guys to check out this
I think it's a
film
good movie.
or
Yeah,
buy the
definitely.
video or
Yeah.
well, not the
Yeah.
DVDs, considering that
No,
there's no
I'm-
DVD.
I'm giving
if
it
you
a-
can buy a video, you'd be really doing hard pressed. That
Yeah,
one
you'd be
there.
doing J.J. Abrams a big favor by paying
You
for
can't
his.
buy,
Yeah.
you can't. Yeah, buy a DVD, not a VHS.
Yeah.
I don't think you'd be able to buy it on a VHS.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, thanks for your time, guys. And
All right, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
so, thanks everyone to all our
You
listeners. So
They can look at the radio.
you can check us out on YouTube and Vimeo. So thanks for your times. Be sure to check us out for our next podcast. Same time, same which
Which
hour. Till then, this is Sarah Stephenson saying, "Oh." See you around, guys.